Sure, we can have fire. And we can have the knowledge of fire. But with that comes the knowledge of everything.
Hey guys, Jack and Jada here, and the Red Dead Redemption 2 trailer just came out today, and everybody is talking about how John Marston is in the trailer. But there's a lot of other characters from the first game that are also in the trailer, and if you're like us, you're probably thinking to yourself, what the hell happened in the original Red Dead Redemption that I played 8 years ago?
Yeah, I just feel like it's been so long since I've been in the Wild West and doing all the things that we did there, and just like, where are we going now? It's a prequel, obviously, it's set in the past, so like, what origin stories are we gonna learn and figure out about Dutch and Bill and John Marston, obviously? Like, what's gonna happen here?
Right, so we're gonna break down kind of who are the familiar faces from Red Dead Redemption and kind of where we think these plots are going and who these new people might be. So I kind of wanted to just start off with Dutch because it's kind of his game. For people who were unfamiliar with Red Dead or forgot about it, can you give just like a recap of kind of what Dutch is about?
Oh man, so Dutch was kind of the leader of Marston's gang originally, and he originally started out as a very altruistic member, where him and his posse would rob banks, and then they would kind of Robin Hood and go around and give back the money to the less fortunate and people they needed to kind of counterbalance Big Brother and the government. They didn't want them coming in and taking over the Wild West. They really saw it as the free land, and they wanted to keep it that way.
Right, and so like in the first game, they'd already kind of failed at that. Like,
correct.
The Industrial Revolution was happening, so now with a prequel, it feels like we're gonna get to see kind of them with their semi-valiant efforts to kind of hold off the industrialization of the West. So we see them kind of like robbing banks and things and stuff, and so that's kind of part of that, while they're still kind of the quote-unquote good guys, the anti-heroes.
I don't know if you could have any good guys in Red Dead technically.
Right, there's just the bad and the ugly in Red Dead.
Exactly.
But yeah, so Dutch is kind of, clearly he's in there a lot, he's the leader of the thing, and it looks like we're kind of gonna maybe get to see his descent into madness, kind of hopefully that moment when he realizes that his efforts are in vain, and that kind of like ultimately kind of drives him towards the dark side.
You know, I'm hoping for that. I want to see that turning point where everything happens. Obviously, we saw in the trailer where John Marston is being held against his will, and the scar is fresh on his face. So like, I can't wait to see who gave him the scar, who did this, what was the turning point, what made this happen. That's like my biggest interest in seeing this Red Dead 2 is like, I want to know more about the lore, and I think that's what Rockstar is trying to deliver with Red Dead 2.
Yeah, we were talking kind of about Western movies earlier, and the first Red Dead kind of felt like a Clint Eastwood story and stuff, but this one has a much bigger cast, and you were saying that it was
very Hateful Eight-esque.
Yeah.
You know, there's that one scene in the cabin where everybody's kind of bundled up, and it looks like there's snow on somebody's arm. Like, it's very Hateful Eight, and so I'm interested to see what kind of cues they took from that movie, possibly in making this. Obviously, Red Dead 2's been in development for probably longer than Hateful Eight was even conceptualized, but I still think game development's a long time. There's no reason why they couldn't be like, oh, that's really cool, let's add this an element of this into our story.
For sure, yeah. There's definitely tons of homages in the previous game to classic Western, so I wouldn't be surprised if there's something even overt in there. But like, having that big ensemble cast was noteworthy for a Rockstar game, because they're a little more focused. GTA had 3 playable characters, and they had different characters, but like 5 people weren't ever like there in like one scene, like interacting and stuff, and you see all these shots where there's like 8, 9, 10 people who are all clearly part of the same gang and all major characters kind of doing stuff, and so some of them are really interesting.
Yeah, I mean, we've got characters like, we know one character that we still haven't really seen, Abigail. We still haven't seen her, and we're like wondering where she's at. We've got this new female member of the gang that's definitely does not look like Abigail. Whether or not she went through this crazy change from Red Dead till Red Dead 1, but we'll see what happened with that. But, you know, going back to the ensemble thing, like, yeah, there's that one kind of scene where they're almost looks kind of like a standoff, and there's like 8 or 9 people there standing with guns, like ready to have a good old shootout. Like, who are these people? How influential are they to the plot? Are they just there as a convenience to the time? Are they actually going to be there throughout the whole story? We don't really know yet, but I'm excited to see where this kind of goes and how the storytelling is going to transform because of it.
Yeah, and you mentioned Abigail, which to catch you guys up is John Marston's wife, and if you guys remember, she, before she settled down, she was actually part of Dutch's gang. She was a former prostitute, and one of the more interesting parts about the game was that they kind of just talked that, like, she was dating, like, a lot of them. It was like, it was kind of very, like, open, like, free thing, and then she eventually fell in love with John, who seemed like he was a newer member of the gang. So I'm really interested to kind of see how she fits in with the dynamic and what role she plays in it. But it's also cool that there are additional female characters in there. That the female gunslinger is definitely pretty interesting. There's this great shot where we see a lot of familiar faces. We see Dutch, Bill, Javier, the new character we mentioned, and then also our new player character. And so it's kind of cool. And we were talking about how bank heists and train robberies are hopefully like a pretty big part of the game, building off of GTA 5's thing. But what I'm hoping for are that these characters are all usable or swappable out, like as some form of kind of gang. They did a little bit of that with GTA, with the guns for hire and the drivers and things, but they never really did anything with it. You would like use one driver once and never see them again. So it always felt like this wasted opportunity that I wanted to explore more, and I'm really hoping that we get to, like, you know, choose and build your team and like go into heists that way.
Yeah, you know, and one thing I just thought about when it comes to heists is I would love to where, you know, we've obviously seen that they're going to be going, they've mentioned that they're going to be going from place to place to place. They've been going across state lines. And so how cool would it be, like, you rob a bank in this one state, becomes that area is really hot, you have to go to these other areas. After you've spent some time outside of that state, that area's cooled down and you can go hit that, you can heist that bank again. But this time now there's more security, so you know you have to have the correct posse members kind of leveled up in different traits. Different ones are better at shooting, better at, you know, have more strength so they can carry more money, or et cetera, et cetera. Like, that would be a really cool idea. Or some of them better on horseback for the train heists. Like, that would just be a really cool element and something that they could kind of really build on and give a lot more replayability to the heist, because that wasn't really a big thing in Grand Theft Auto, if I remember correctly. Like, kind of once you did the heist, you're kind of like, okay, yeah, cool. Like, I've done it. Like, I don't really need to go back unless I just need more money.
The other two you mentioned, Bill and Javier. If you guys remember from the original game, those were the two former gang members that you actually end up having to hunt down and either kill or capture in there. But we see them here before they've kind of become all run down. They're both like in hiding and like gross and old, but you kind of see like Javier's got style. He's rocking
style.
A bowler cap, his like mustache is on fleek and stuff. He definitely is not the like drunk, like hiding in a storeroom character that we meet in Red Dead Redemption.
I don't even know what the equivalent for on fleek would be back in the 80s.
Yeah,
back in the 80s, the 1890s. I don't even know what that would be.
Dapper, I guess, is
probably the closest thing we're gonna get.
But yeah, so what we're seeing is that there are more characters than ever, and presumably, since we're getting so many shots of them in these story trailers, that they actually are like real characters and not like just a bunch of NPCs that happen to be
that show
in
up
the background
once.
of scenes.
Yeah, because I mean, if you look at like the, you know, all the different characters that are in Red Dead Redemption or even Revolver, if you go back that far, there's so many of these other characters that are super minor, you see once and they're throwaways. Like, I don't want that to be the case with Red Dead Redemption 2. I want to see more backstory and getting more involved in all these other characters. Like, I want more than that. I want them to grow upon that. Like, and that's really the big thing for me. Like, I loved Red Dead Redemption, but I get lost in sandbox games. So like, I often find myself just kind of running in circles. And so like, I want there to be so much stuff to do in Red Dead 2 that it doesn't matter like where I go. Like, there's always something to do. And hopefully that involves all these characters and growing them, not just throwaway missions.
All right, guys, Red Dead Redemption 2 comes out October 26th. If you want more news on Red Dead Redemption, stick to fandom.com. And if you want to catch up and read about all the characters in the last game, you can head to the wikis.